A story a week, the mind's masterpiece, a work of art from heart to heart. Tales of wonder, wonder she inspires. Upon her canvas, worlds are built, hearts are healed, hopes restored, dreams revealed, puzzles solved, faiths take flight, good works are born. A story a week. Sit back and relish this week's story. A gift to the least.
Have we trials and temptations? Is there trouble anywhere? We should never be discouraged. Take it to the Lord in prayer.
The Attams were a happily married Christian couple of 20 years. They were wealthy and lived comfortably. Mr. Attam owned a thriving sugarcane plantation that supplied sugarcane across the country. Mrs. Attam, initially a civil servant, later joined her husband to manage and expand the business. Despite their success, one thing remained absent from their lives: children. They deeply desired to have their own, but despite medical examinations confirming they were both capable of conceiving, they faced unexplained infertility. Coming from large families, Mr. Attam had 4 siblings and Mrs. Attam had 6 brothers. Their inability to have children was therefore baffling. However, their faith kept them from despair. They found encouragement in biblical figures who had also struggled with childlessness. Inspired by Isaac's prayers for his wife Rebekah, Mr. Attam frequently brought the matter before God, which touched his wife's heart. He never blamed her or let the situation strain their marriage. Instead, they remained steadfast, believing that the Creator of life was in control.
Can we find a friend so faithful, who will all our sorrow share? Jesus knows our every weakness. Take it to the Lord in prayer.
Mrs. Attam often imagined the bond she would share with her children, much like the close relationship she had with her mother. She admired homes where parents and children were deeply connected, and she longed to create such an environment in her own family. As she approached her mid-40s, the biological odds of conceiving diminished. Not wanting to turn 45 without experiencing motherhood, they tried assisted reproductive techniques, but without success. Yet their yearning for children did not wane. They simply found another way to fulfill it. One evening, as they watched the news, they learned that a fire had ravaged a local hospital, severely affecting the maternity ward. Thankfully, all the newborns and their mothers had been safely evacuated. The news stirred their hearts. The next day, they visited a temporary facility housing the displaced mothers and their babies. Seeing the smiles of the women despite their ordeal, the Attams felt compelled to help. They inquired about their needs, then returned with baby supplies, food, and other essentials. Their generosity extended beyond material gifts when they discovered that 5 of the women had outstanding hospital bills. Mr. Attam met with the hospital administration and settled them. One of these women had a baby suffering from respiratory distress, and the Attams ensured the child received proper medical care. Their kindness deeply moved the families they helped. One mother, a struggling single parent, grew close to the Attams and often visited them with her child.
Went on a sick bed, you came to my ward. When I was hopeless, you lift up my spirit. Now enter
Over time, many of the families they had assisted came to visit, expressing their gratitude. The Adams' once quiet mansion became filled with the laughter and chatter of children, and their home became a place of warmth and love. Seeing firsthand the financial burdens many families faced in accessing medical care, the Adams decided to create a funding program to support pregnant women and children in need. They named it the Least Fund, inspired by Jesus' words in Matthew 25, verse 40. Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. The fund provided monthly financial assistance to pregnant women in difficult circumstances and covered medical expenses for children aged 1 to 13. They partnered with the very hospital that had suffered the fire, ensuring they were alerted whenever families needed help. Additionally, they made regular visits to the hospital to encourage and support young patients. Over time, the Least Fund grew beyond what the Adams had imagined. Inspired by their generosity, local businesses and community leaders began contributing to the initiative. What started as a personal mission became a citywide movement, with others stepping forward to support families in need. The hospital even set up a dedicated Least Fund wing, ensuring that children from struggling families always had access to quality medical care. Seeing their vision expand, the Adams realized that God had multiplied their efforts, turning their faithfulness into a lasting legacy.
When I was weary, you helped me find rest. When I was anxious, you calmed all my fears. Now enter into the home of my Father. Oh, it's a
One day, the families they had helped organized a surprise celebration in their honor. Children performed plays expressing their gratitude, and during the performances, the children fondly referred to Mr. and Mrs. Atem as Mom and Dad. The words pierced their hearts, bringing them to a profound realization God had given them children in a different way, not by birth, but by love.
You were there when we were falling. You gave hope and held our hands. Now we stand forever grateful, a family built by love that stands. Walk with me, stand by me through the storm and through the rain. You have shown what love can be. Now our hearts will do the same.
In her closing remarks, one of the event organizers, a young mother, shared her admiration. I have learned from the Adams what it means to have active faith. They have poured into others in the very area they lack. That, to me, is a demonstration of calling forth the things that are not as though they are. You may not have given birth to our children, but you have birthed hope in countless hearts. These are your children too, and we love you dearly. The hall resounded with a heartfelt Amen. The Adams left that evening with full hearts, knowing that while they had longed for children of their own, God had given them a family greater than they ever imagined.